So for any report, I first select the data source, right? Under the data source panel, I'm simply selecting all active workers. Once the data source gets selected, then the builders panel gets active. I can give a name. So again, I'm saying gender metric, some name I want to give. I can expand this if I want to. Okay, then we select the report type, which is basically determined by the chart type you select. So here we have selected the chart type or the report type or the visualization type as chart. Okay, so what is that I wanted to build? I wanted to build, let's say, the um, the different management levels. Management level is basically employee grade. So I want to build the different management level, right? The moment I do that, system shows me all the management levels. Obviously, this is a test system, so obviously people have created all sorts of gibberish. I only want the top n management levels, not all of these values. So I can click here, right? So I want data which is a value total in descending. Let me first apply this. So it gives me the data value total in descending. But then I don't need all of these values, random values, right? If you see, people have created all sorts of gibberish. So what I need is, let's say, only the top 10 values, or let's say the top n values. Again, I'll click here. So number of axis grouping, right now it is being displayed is 100, which is maximum. I
Okay,
only want to
but
display top.
can I filter on the, okay, I want only 5 people on top of it. So can I filter it like that?
That you can add through filters. We'll add a filter as well, right?
Okay.
So any filters you want to build, you can go to the filters panel and add them.
Mhm.
So now it is showing me the top 10 values with
So
everything else.
when you say the filter is a one kind of variable and one kind of other object, or it's going to be the same on that one. Can you show me the filter, please?
Yeah, we'll do
The
that.
basic ones, yeah, we used many times. So these options, whatever is existing on the chart.
Okay. So for example, here I have these management levels. Now let's say I want to build a filter wherein I don't want any employee whose management level is blank, right? I don't need that data. I can now go ahead and build a filter for that. If I go to, again, this is just a random example I'm taking. I don't want any person whose management level is not available.
Okay.
I would click on filter and I want to add a new filter. And the filter I want is only get me those records where management level. So I'll search for the field based on which I want to build my filter. I'll say management level and I have different options. So here my requirement is management level is not empty. The moment I run this, my query gets updated. If you see now, I'm not getting any record whose management level is empty. Okay, or maybe I wanted only those records whose management level is, let's say, manager or a senior vice president. So I
Okay.
could have selected from
So you
this
have
list.
any list. Okay.
Okay, so I can select any of the values that I want. So this is simply the top n values. The actual filter can be applied on the filter panel. So the data source panel, the builder panel, and the filter panel. Let's keep saving this. Now for each of these management levels, let's say I also want to understand the gender distribution. So I want to know out of these 668 individual contributors, how many are, let's say, females, how many are males. Again, I'll search for gender. Okay. So probably you want this on a different report, but I'm just pulling everything on a single visualization. So I have gender. When I pull gender, it will again only shows me those options wherein this can be added. So either I can add it to color or x-axis. Let me first try adding it to x-axis and see how the report looks. So when I add gender now here, uh, doesn't give me any meaningful data. At least that's way I see. What I'll do is I'll pull gender and add to color. Okay, now if you see, it gives me data in terms of there were 668 workers in individual contributors, out of which 160 workers are male, 123 are female, 385 workers do not have any gender, so their gender is simply blank, and so on and so forth. So I have added gender under the color tab. So for
So
each
can
of
you
these
change the legend names here?
sorry,
Legend names or the x-axis, y-axis names, everything we can modify it. The
we can
management
modify it.
level or the
Yeah,
code count level.
yeah. So for example, font and all that you cannot modify. So you
Okay.
want to modify the, let's say, the legend, you can click here, or the x-axis, y-axis, and you can override the display name. So currently the
Okay,
display
display
name
name.
is management
Okay.
level. You
Okay. Got
can
it.
override.
Okay.
Okay, so this is, again, I don't need to see, I don't want any blank options. I can go ahead and build an appropriate filter for that. So again, I can go to filter panel. So only want those management levels which are not empty, and I want those employees whose gender is not blank, is not empty. So I can add any number of filters. So now if it is only giving me three, female, male, and those who are not declared, right? I can click here and then it allows me to expand any particular section. So this is what I want to expand, right? Okay, so this is one of a simple visualizations I have built.
Okay.
I want to create a new visualization, a blank one. I can click on add viz, or I want to build a visualization based on this one. I can simply click here and duplicate. When I duplicate, it creates an exact copy, and then I can go ahead and modify it. Okay, so here my requirement is, let's say for each gender, all right, or let's not change this. Uh, okay, so for each gender, let's say so right now, as I mentioned, there are two types of fields. One is field of type attribute, and the second one is summarization. So whenever you don't add any summarization, the default summarization that Workday shows is count. So if you see, for each of these genders and management levels, by default it is showing me the count. So count, what is count? A count is a summarization. So again, when I come here, the moment I added gender, it is showing me the default summarization of count. So count of employees or workers in that gender. If I want to add any other summarization as well, I can do that. So for example, let's say for each of these employees or each of these genders, I want to understand their average salary, right? Or their average base pay. So I'll go for not average, I'll go to their total base pay amount, right? So there are fields available. Because this is a numeric, we already discussed for any numeric or currency field, Workday automatically adds the summarization. So for each of these genders, I don't want the default summarization of count of employees. What I want is the average total base pay. When I go here, it shows me this double chevron. I can click here. What I need is the average base pay. So now I'm pulling average and I'm dropping it on the y-axis. So now if you see, it is giving me the average of the base pay for females, for males, and those whose gender is not declared. I want to override it or override the name and say base pay average. Okay, not just their average base pay, I want to also understand the average of the employee's age. So I am searching for age. Right? Again, a numeric field. I'll click here. I would get age. System adds a new. Okay, now if you see, both of these don't make any sense being showed side by side, right? Average base pay is in currency and
So
would be
it's
in
written
terms.
that below new dashboard is coming automatically, or you are creating it?
Which one?
The below box, the gender, female, and everything, and you have above one too, right?
So if I go to drive,
Yeah. Oh, drive. Okay.
add new, and you can add a new discovery code.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Because I had already added one, I simply went there.
Yeah. Okay.
So we added one yesterday, day before yesterday. I simply went there and I opened it and I edited it.
Okay. Got it. Thank
Okay,
you.
now if you see, I have added two metrics. One is the average base pay and the average age. Now both of them actually don't make any sense side by side, right? So what I need is not a single chart, I need a combo chart, right? Which means average age on one side, I want the average base pay on the other side, right? Because both of them together actually have no significance, no meaning. So here on y-axis, I have added the average of the total base pay and the average of the age. So when I click here on this icon, I can select the option called dual. Right now it is merged, which means both are being showed together. I want to show them differently. I'll click on dual and now I'll drag this from here to the y-axis. So y-axis left hand side is where I'm showing total base pay. Y-axis right hand side is where I'm showing age. Again, y-axis left hand side, if you see, I'm showing the details in terms of a bar, and y-axis right hand side I have selected, or the default option is I have selected a line. So you see, I can build these kind of combo charts. So now I have the gender of the employees on my horizontal axis, their average age, their average base pay is defined or represented in terms of these bars. So the average female total base pay is 184,000, for males 134,000, and on the right hand side it is showing me their average age. So the average age is this line. If I, instead of this line, maybe I want to get a area, I can select area. When I select area, so this area is my age and this is my gender. This is my average of the total base pay.
Okay.
So I can select any of the options. So this way I can have a dual reporting, which is, if you see in Excel, these are simply referred to as combo reports. Okay, so how many metrics am I reporting on? I'm getting the metrics on employees' gender, their average base pay, their average age. Now, if I want, I can add another metrics as well through color. So again, maybe for each of them, I still want to understand their management level. So I am still pulling their management level, and I am pulling this into, oh, so for combo looks like it doesn't give me the option. It's not giving me an option for combo, but anyway choice it. So I can build a
So you're
report on
doing
multiple.
more than two measures to in one report?
Yes.
Okay.
So in a single report, I'm reporting on multiple parameters.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I can create, if you see, it's very simple. I can simply drag and drop, and it is intuitive as well. So wherever some field is not relevant, it doesn't allow me to add that field.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Now, in addition to this, so let's go ahead and we have already saved this. I want to add a new visualization. I'll again click here, or either I can add a viz or I can click on duplicate. So I want to add a
There is
duplicate
no
visual.
save as for this one. Can I do the save as for this one? Save is
We
save.
can, we
Okay.
can. So we can export it. We'll talk about that.
Okay.
Okay. When you say save as, the name, is that what you're talking about?
No, no,
Or you want to
total.
save it on your local machine?
No. The two things. One is that this dashboard, I want to create another copy because you added two visualizations. So I want to add another copy of this one.
Yeah, you
The
can. So this is
visualization.
your overall dashboard. You can click here and
Mhm.
create a new one.
Duplicate.
Okay.
So it will
You can
create under that only, the duplicate.
another sheet here.
Okay.
So either you click on plus, this adds a new sheet, a new tab.
Okay, it's not a duplicate of this one, but it's under that one.
So when you do a duplicate, it will do a duplicate, right? So if I, instead of clicking on add, had I selected duplicate, it would have created a duplicate for me. Okay. So it really depends on what option you select.
Hmm. Okay. So when it saves it, it will sheet one and sheet two as a different dashboards it will save, or
No,
in one
this
dashboard you
is
will have it
in one
sheets.
dashboard. One
Oh,
dashboard it will have sheet.
okay. So you can't copy the dashboard and duplicate a total dashboard. For example, I have a 5 sheets or 6 sheets in this one. I want
Mm,
the dashboard which is having those 5 sheets for me.
let's see if I can do that. Uh, okay,
Yeah.
I have some random dashboard here. Let's see if I can copy it, make a copy.
Yeah.
Yes, you
Make a copy. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That makes
can.
sense.
Okay, now what we can do is we can add a size as well. So for example, I want to get uh, the female, or the, let's say, the number of females. I want to get the count as well. So I can get the count, or I can, why is that? Let's remove this. Okay. So what I need is, now I have the count of employees and their respective genders. So I have 336 males, I have 216 females, and I have 5 people who have not declared their gender. Okay, let's again search for management level. Now, um, why is that I'm not able to pull this? Uh, let's see. Uh, Again, for gender. or let's say for let's go to basic bio. Let's see if I can. Okay, it doesn't allow me the sum of their age. Age group. Mm, uh, uh, uh. Okay, I'll have to check why it doesn't allow me the size. Or let's select a different type. So maybe I want a scatter, not a scatter plot. I want okay, let's take a scatter plot. On a scatter plot, I want to get the, again, let's say the gender, not gender, the age and average age. Uh, for average age and the maximum age. Okay, we don't need gender. So a scatter plot allows me to plot two different values, right? So here I'm taking the maximum age and plotting it against the average age, right? Again, um, some random option. Okay, now what I want is, again, let's see if the count, the sizing works. Okay, here it works. So based on the number of workers, I want the size to change automatically. So size allows me to determine the size of my boxes, right? So size is simply used to
Uh,
determine. Mhm.
you are searching maximum age and what was the purpose of it?
Okay, so again, ideally it would have made a lot more sense if I would have selected a chart, but here I'm
Okay.
not able to do
So you are
that.
just an
Yeah,
example of so that you can show the
yes,
picture.
yes. This would have made a lot more sense here. Let me see if I can get, let me remove this once again and now see again, gender. Uh, x-axis is gender, and for each of these gender, I want this to be point. Okay, right. And now, okay, uh, this is why it was not giving me any data. Now it will give me data. Okay, so if you see, what I want is, right now I'm showing the gender as not as a bar. Earlier we were showing the gender as a bar, right? Male, female, and not declared. I don't want this to be shown as a bar graph. I'm simply displaying this as a point graph. So now if you see, wherever the number of employees is, females are 216, so it shows me a point here. The number of males is 336 and it shows me a point here, and so on and so forth. But then now I want to determine the size of this point, let's say based on their average age, right? So higher the average age, I want the bigger to be the size, right? Or maybe based on their average total base pay. So now I'll go to total base pay amount once again, right? I'll expand this. Based on their average base pay, I want the size of these dots to change. So I'm placing the average base pay on size. When I do that, if you see, the size of this would change based on the average base pay. So what is the average base pay of the females? It is 184,000. And that's why the size of this circle has changed. What is the average base pay of
Yeah.
males? It is 130. So it allows me to control the size. So the placement of this circle is determined by count, and the size of this circle I'm determining based on average base pay.
Okay.
Okay. So size allows me to control, and the reason it was not allowing that earlier was because I've selected bar. So it is only applicable for point graphs. Okay. And this could be on any other factor.
Okay.
All right, any kind of filters. Now we have added our filter. If you see, on all three of our visualizations, we have added the same filter. So any filter, if you see, I want to add on any visualization, I can, instead of adding them on each visualization, I can directly add them on the sheet. So any filter which is defined on the sheet is applicable for all the visualizations on the sheet. Apart from sheet, I can also define visualization level filters. So there are two types of filters I can define. Filters which are applicable for the sheet. In a sheet, if you see, I can add multiple visualizations. So now what I want is, only here I want management level to be not empty. The other visualizations, if you see, I'm not even showing management level, right? So I want management level to be a visualization which is, or a filter which is applicable only for this visualization. But gender is a filter I want to be applicable for all of these reports that I have added. So what I can do is, I can click here and I can move this filter to the sheet. So I have moved this filter to the sheet. So which means gender is not empty is applicable for every visualization. But the second filter, it is not applicable. So again, gender, I don't need it here because I would remove it. I have already applied it on the sheet. Now this filter is not required for me. So I'll go ahead and remove it.
So you can put it on the based on the report level or
Exactly,
dashboard
or
level
the
or
entire sheet,
internship. Okay.
right? Similarly, I can go to this visualization as well,
So
the
we can
second
apply
one.
for the multiple sheets too.
No,
Like a
not
sheet.
for multiple sheets.
Oh, is it? Because sometimes we have a sheets of 5 to 10 sheets, and
Yeah.
it is filtered based on the date.
So for
So
each sheet, yeah. So in normal reports, you have this option called prompt set. On a
Mm.
discovery board, you don't have that option at this point in
Oh,
time. Okay.
okay.
Okay. So you can define filter. Now, if you see, this filter is applicable for the entire sheet, but this filter is only specific to this visualization. If I go to second visualization, it is not available. Sheet filter is still there. Third visualization, again, I don't need this. I am removing it. This visualization again, so let's say something we don't need it right now, we may want to use it later, we can simply disable it instead of removing it completely. So I can disable it.
Oh, okay. Good
Okay,
option.
so the advantages later on we can go ahead and change it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so that is a discovery board. Now once I have created a discovery board, I can now go ahead and, either if I go to, I can download this on my own local machine. So let's say I want to download it as a PNG. Open it. So anything that I have created, I can directly go ahead and download it on my local machine. Okay, and it downloads a PNG or file of type PNG. The second thing is I can also go ahead and export it. So when I export something, it creates a custom report. So if I go back, if you remember, when I selected a visualization and I went here for visualization type, it showed me three options. One is matrix report, under which I have three types of visualizations I can build. Then we have advanced report, under which we can have one visualization. And then this is a third category. So what is this category? It basically determines what type of report will be created when you export a certain visualization. Okay, so when you export these visualizations, it creates something called a matrix report in Workday. When you export this visualization, when I say export, if you go to the additional actions and go to export as a report. So that's how Workday has classified it.
What is the difference will come for the dashboard to the report?
Okay, a report is something a report writer creates and it gives you additional capabilities,
Okay.
right?
So
We'll
dashboard.
look at report as well. Okay, so what is an advanced report? So if I select a visualization of type table, it creates an advanced report. So let me first add a new visualization, which is of type table. So if I click on duplicate, now this visualization I want to select is of type table. Okay, in table, what do I need? I need the worker name, I'll simply search for worker. I need worker gender. So you see, this is a type table, which means it allows me to extract. I need the worker's date of birth. I, let's say, need the worker's position. I'm randomly selecting a few values. And one last thing, let's say I want workers manager, right? So I'm randomly selecting a few fields, I'm adding them, right? Now this is a visualization of type table, and this is categorized under advanced report. As I mentioned, what is an advanced report? When you export this visualization, it will create an advanced report. So let's first save it. And now I want to export this visualization. So I'm going to export it. It will ask me what is the name of the report that you want to create. I want to create this very report. I'm saying export. The report has been exported successfully. If I click on view, so as I mentioned, a report gives you, it allows technical consultants or report writers to create report, and it allows you to view the details. So if you see, I'm getting the same output in a report as well. But the advantage is when I click on edit, custom report edit, it will allow me to see the details of that report.
Okay, when you exported that report, where it will go and save?
In your in your tenant itself. So you can search for it.
Okay,
So
data
now
source,
when I search, right,
region, matrix copy 3. Okay, you gave the name to generate
right.
matrix
So
copy.
if you see all those fields that I simply added,
Yeah, that
worker
will.
gender, they are all added as fields. If I go to filter,
Mhm.
those filters are created.
Okay.
Right? So they were
Usually,
just
It works vice versa, right? You create a report first
No,
and you move to the dashboard.
no, you cannot. It's just one way.
Oh,
So
is
if
it?
you want, yeah.
Uh-huh.
So visualization or a dashboard, as you're saying, can be
Uh-huh.
exported to a report, but a report cannot be exported to a visualization. Okay,
Oh.
so it's not
Then the
two-way.
custom report and all those reports are not supposed to place in the dashboard?
Yeah. So dashboard is a relatively new functionality.
Oh,
Okay.
I was thinking we create a reports and we can place all of them in a dashboard.
Okay. As I mentioned, the advantages here, you can see all the technical details. Here
Mhm.
you can also define whether you want to share a report with someone or not. So right now this report is configured as this shouldn't be shared. I can share it with all authorized users. I can share it with specific users or groups and so on and so forth. And I can add any additional columns as well. Okay. If I
What is
if
the
I
advantage
want,
I get moving from dashboard to the report? Because if I want to create a report, I will directly connect to the data source and get the report out, right?
right, right.
Okay.
So the advantage is you can add any other fields, you can build any calculations, you can add any filters, you can do any sorting, you can define the share option, and some of the advanced options are only available on report. So, for example, you want to convert a report into a web service, that is possible. A dashboard cannot be converted into web service. What is a web service? A web service is used for your integrations. So any data you want to send outside Workday, let's say to a third party system, you cannot do that through a dashboard. For
Mm-hmm.
that, you'll have to create a report or convert your dashboard into a report and enable it as a web service. So web service allows you to export data to third party systems through integrations. Okay.
Okay.
So there
Okay.
are other advantages of your report. So your reports or custom reports are
So
primarily
I
geared
was just
towards.
trying, it's a double work for me. I have to create a dashboard after that sending the report. Instead of that, I will directly create a report and use it for
You
the
can,
multiple.
you can,
Okay, I can do that, right? Okay.
you can directly do that. So you
Okay.
can directly go to the task, create custom report and do that.
Create custom reports. Okay.
Right? So you can directly go here, select your relevant data source, select the report type and create a report.
Okay.
Okay. So even after you have created a report, you can change your data source or you can do any of those other things.
Mm.
Okay. Now the advantage of a report is also you can build any kind of advanced filters you want. So either you want employees to have uh, gender, let's say, is not empty, or you want employees age to be above 40, right? Again, I'm just taking some random example. So the advantage of this is you can also build any advanced filters using and or options, right? So I can is greater than, let's say, 40 or 50 or whatever. So this also allows you to build those advanced filters, right? You can save it and you can go ahead and execute your report.
Okay. Workday HCM is a so famous one. I don't know how is the Workday Finance. It might be hit or I don't know because ETL they are making very easy life, but I don't know.
Right, right.
Yeah,
So I think even Workday Finance has now a lot of uh,
people are going for it, right?
gaining
Yeah,
traction. Yeah,
yeah.
that's what I see.
Our company is one of.
Mhm. Mm, yeah. So the reason it has, see, HCM as a product, it came, I think, 10 years earlier, right? It was the first product from Workday, and that's why many companies have already implemented Workday HCM.
Yeah, Workday SAP HR to everybody moved to Workday, right? Workday
Right,
HR.
right, right. So from SAP PeopleSoft, most of the PeopleSoft clients have moved to HCM, Workday HCM.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
the reason you see a lot of traction in Prism and finance is because these are relatively new modules. So most of the people who already had Workday HCM, they are now also
Yeah,
moving
they
to
want to
Workday
go
Finance.
to okay. Yeah.
So that's why you may be seeing a lot of job openings in finance.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But
Okay. Fine. Even I don't know Workday Finance. I'm absolutely zero in that. Uh, but uh, that's how it is.
yeah, yeah. If we work in analytics, I don't think so. We need a functional module knowledge to know about
Right,
it.
right. So it really depends on what area you're working on.
Yeah.
Right. That's how
Yeah.
it is. Okay. So I can either run a report. So it is giving me 595 records, or I can test a report. So if I again go to the additional actions, so there are two options. Either I can run a report or I can test a report. So when I test a report, it gives me the advantage that it it see, if let's say there are a million records and I'm making some changes, I to test I can simply test them. So when I test them, it gives me the first n records instead of pulling those million records every time. So see, when I test it, it gives me the first 10 records. So this way I can quickly check some changes I have made to make sure it is failing or not, right? So the advantage is you don't have to run it every time, which takes probably 20 minutes of your time for every run. So when you run it, it gives you the full load. When you test it, it gives you the part load or the first 10 records only. So running it gives you the full data load.